And a big hello and welcome everyone to the Engineers Ireland South African Engineers or Global Engineers event. It's an absolute delight to welcome so many South Africans who are based both in Ireland and who are actually out in South Africa ready to make a move here. Just a gentle reminder that today's webinar is recorded, and if you want to ask any follow-up questions, my name is Michael Gallagher and my contact details are there. So I guess as we begin, as we talk about this, two really important things that I wanted to flag are websites for you to bookmark. If you're considering moving to Ireland, the situation as of May 2021 is we have a system in place called mandatory hotel quarantine, which means that new arrivals from what in Ireland we're calling Category 2 countries will have to wait for 14 days quarantine in a hotel as they kind of come to Ireland to adjust. If you're viewing this recording after May, you should check one of the two following websites for the latest details on how the coronavirus situation is playing out in Ireland. So just a little disclaimer before we begin. We have some fantastic speakers today. I'm going to speak very briefly about the benefits of membership and why you might join. And these are some of the topics that I'll speak on. I'll then be followed by my colleague Katie Daffy, who will be talking about the mutual recognition agreements that we have with Engineers Council of South Africa. And then, of course, we'll be hearing some interesting and fascinating insights from a South African recruiter about what it's like to move your life here and to kind of start a new job. And of course, from a South African who has arrived as recently as December. And so we have loads of interesting perspectives in today's webinar. So about Engineers Ireland, we are the equivalency of Engineers Council South Africa, but for Ireland, we have different professional titles such as Chartered Engineer, Associate Engineer, and Engineering Technician. Katie will go into this in some more detail, but just to say we have a fantastic range of international recognition agreements across the world, and as you'll see, South Africa is kind of highlighted there as another Washington Accord signatory. Why you might join Engineers Ireland is, as your professional body, it's a great place to kind of continue developing yourself as an engineer, to build up what we call CPD, or your continuous professional development. You'll be able to log into the website and access all these training courses, or even keep a log of your own details of your continuous professional development. So that's one big reason why you should join. There's loads of different ways you can build up your CPD, whether that's structured professional body activities or self-directed learning, or while you're in Ireland, we're very well renowned for all our further education, so you can even undertake more education while here. And just to say that we have a fantastic range of different communities and groups, so whether that's based on your discipline, such as the civil engineering division, or whether that's more so on a kind of professional interest, such as project management or roads and transportation, we have a kind of professional home for everyone, and there's loads of ways to get involved while you're here, and it's a great way to meet other engineers. While if you are moving to Ireland, we have a fantastic program called the STEPS program, where you can get involved with talking to young secondary school students or primary school students, and it's a great way to kind of get to know schools in your area. So if you are kind of relocating your family through our STEPS program, it's a great way to see what is an offer in the locality in the schools area. For Engineers Ireland, you have exclusive access to the Engineers Journal, where you can kind of see different thought leadership news and analysis of what's the latest learnings are in the engineering profession in Ireland. And of course, you have exclusive access to Engineers TV, where we put up all our recordings of our lectures and webinars, and where as a member you can log in and access these at your own leisure when it suits you. A great place as well for career progression. We have something called the Jobs Desk, where we advertise different jobs that are available for engineers. So you can log in there and you can check out what opportunities are available for you. And yeah, just to say, joining is very simple. All you need to do is go on to engineersireland.ie, and we actually have a special webpage if you're joining from overseas, so you can look into exactly how it is that you do. But we do all our applications are online, and you'll have to use our website to do so. I guess I'm delighted now to hand over to my colleague Katie Daffy, who will be briefing us on the mutual recognition routes. Afterwards, Katie will be followed by Corinne, a recruitment consultant with PRL Recruitment. Katie, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand this over to you, because I know you have your own presentation.
Lovely, thanks Michal, and good evening everybody, lovely to be here. Yeah, so as Michal said, I'm going to be presenting on mutual recognition agreements, and we luckily have one with the Engineering Council of South Africa. So that's what I'm going to be talking about here. So to begin, what is a mutual recognition agreement? So these are agreements that are in place between certain countries to provide mutual recognition of an engineer's professional title. So here at Engineers Ireland, we know that people work really hard for professional titles, preparing applications, doing professional interviews, and we want to ensure that the titles that we award are something that engineers can travel with and that are recognised internationally. And luckily, the Engineering Council of South Africa feel the same, and they have an agreement in place with us as well, meaning that any engineers in South Africa that receive titles from them, they can travel with them and have them easily recognised. So that is the case between South Africa and Ireland. So what titles are covered by these agreements? You've got the Chartered Engineer title, which also goes by the professional engineer name. You have Associate Engineer, also known as Incorporated Engineer or Professional Engineering Technologist. And then there's Engineering Technician, also known as Professional Engineering Technician. So all these titles are transferable from South Africa once you've gone through the standard professional review procedure there, and once you're still a member in good standing with the ECSA. Now I'm going to just talk you through the process. So if you want to have a title recognised by Engineers Ireland, the first thing that we ask you to do is to email membership@engineersireland.ie. Let us know the details of the title that you hold. We then get you to fill out an application form. We look for proof of your degree. There's an application fee and an annual subscription fee that you pay, and then a professional title verification and consent form that you fill out for us. The application form is very straightforward. So your personal details, your employment details. We look for your educational background, as we are a qualifications-based membership body. We'll also ask you for the membership that you have. So that'll be with the Engineering Council of South Africa. And if you do know another member of Engineers Ireland and they've recommended us to you, you can put them down as a referrer. So just put in their full name and their membership number. And when you're elected to membership, they'll receive a €100 voucher from Engineers Ireland. So the verification of qualification piece, this is where we look for proof of your degree. So there's a number of ways that you can do this, and our team here at Engineers Ireland guide you through it. So you can get verification from your college that you attended. You can ask another member of Engineers Ireland to provide email verification of your degree once they've seen a scanned copy. We also use something called Digitry. So this is an excellent online platform that lots of colleges, universities and ITs are signed up for. And they provide online verification of people's degrees. So you can also do it through that way. There is then the application fee. So there is a one-off €100 fee to have your title recognised by Engineers Ireland. And then you must also pay the annual subscription fees that we have for members. And lastly, we ask you to fill out this consent form. So this will allow us to contact the Engineering Council of South Africa to ensure, as I said, that you are a member in good standing and you've achieved your title through their standard professional review procedure. So once we have all this paperwork in place, we then present it to our membership board who meet once a month, and they will then elect you to membership, and you can then use your registered professional title that was awarded by the ECSA. You can use it here in Ireland and in the EU. That brings me to the end of my short presentation. So there are my contact details there. If anybody has any questions about mutual recognition agreements, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Katie, that was fantastic, and really appreciate that. And I might just, oh yeah, perfect. I can see your screen has stopped sharing. But yeah, just to also commend you, I know you've been running regular mutual recognition agreement webinars almost every week, which has really been fantastic for people applying for places from countries such as South Africa, for them to really get a good insight into it. So I am now delighted to hand things over to Corinne. Corinne, if you want to come onto camera and I can see you. And yeah, Corinne brings a wealth of experience, having worked as a recruiter in South Africa and Ireland, and has herself relocated to Ireland. And Corinne, would you like to give an introduction to yourself and give some insights into what the experience was like kind of relocating to Ireland?
Thanks, Michal, and to the team of Engineers Ireland for hosting yet another quality event, and for all the value you guys are adding to the industry. It's really a privilege, and I so appreciate this opportunity. We know that Ireland's critical skills list allow overseas workers to qualify for critical skills employment permit, and can so facilitate entry of these appropriate skills of non-EU workers to fill shortages. Now, qualified engineers from South Africa, we know, has been part of solving the skills gap and talent shortage in Ireland for several years. And we really hope that that would be the case going forward for many years as well. On the PRL recruitment team, we aim to keep providing this service to the engineering community and so assist with the skills gap that Ireland is experiencing, and not just Ireland, but really around the globe. So, Michal, I would rather describe us as a bit of a smaller boutique operation with a consultative approach. I know there's some big players in the market as well, but we recognize that people are at different stages in their careers, and therefore we don't use a one-size-fits-all approach. So as part of this PRL group, we have access to a large footprint in the FMCG and manufacturing and logistics sectors. And that is really giving us a bit of an advantage in those industries with the bigger group. Now, being all for automation, and I know we've had all of this now due to COVID, a little bit enhanced, I still personally believe that a lot goes missing, especially the personal connection when you apply and you motivate. And I know, it could be a real cold process for the applicant, having to wait, doing an online application for a job and have to just sit and wait for any feedback and response. So I think we take a more of a personal approach, really get to understand the need of where you at, the engineers at in their career, and whether you are still based in Ireland, looking for that next step, or are you back in South Africa, maybe at the start of the process. I know a lot of engineers started the process pre-COVID and then sort of just parked it, as COVID hit and there was some uncertainty about the way forward. So I know that relocating to a new country, and coming to what your question was about, for employment purposes involves so much more than just taking up a new job, especially if you relocate your whole family. This I know from personal experience, but having gone through the journey, I know that it certainly can be done. Now, things I've learned along the way, some of that I wish I knew up front. So happy to share, to make someone else's transition a smooth one. I suppose that's one of our differentiating factors in our service offering as well. That together with the fact that on our team, I think the person with the least amount of experience in recruitment is 7 years, and the rest of us range to 20 years plus. So to the engineers in South Africa or in Ireland, you're in good hands. So when speaking about a lot, it involves so much more than just taking up a new job. I think about things like, network groups for your spouse. I've heard so many people say to me that, my husband connected in his work community, but I was at home, and, the adjustment was quite hectic for the spouses. So we provide some suggestions around who you can contact and where you can network, just to, support in that way as well. We've got some insights into application processes to schools. I'm just thinking of basic things that, like opening up a bank account, changing your driver's license, South African to Irish, how does that work? Where do I go? And surely, everyone can research these things But it's always good to just talk to somebody, a soundboard, or just hear whatever that person's experience was and suggestions maybe. Church communities, we were very fortunate to have found a lovely community where the minister was actually an engineer before he went into full-time ministry. And he spent 7 years in South Africa in the mines in Carletonville. So the first day we attended a service as a family, we were greeted in Afrikaans. That was totally overwhelming for me. So I think, you know, community is the key word here, that connection, especially if it's a foreign country for you and you don't have family there. It's also one of the reasons I would recommend that you join the membership at Engineers Island. It's important to be part of that engineering community and use all the benefits available to you. Get those titles and qualifications recognized on the job front. It makes it so much easier once you engage with a future employer and your all of that is already in place. Now, we also recognize that in the job market, things have changed and contracting has become quite a big player as well, and it's grown quite as an industry. So at PRL, we can also facilitate that form of employment. We have partnership with reliable umbrella companies that takes care of tax and accounting and invoicing if that's the form of employment that that is needed. So maybe on a lighter side, you might be surprised now all the South African engineers that you could, we found Mrs. Ball's chutney on the shelves of some shops, so you can find that in Ireland. In our business chamber for South Africans in Ireland, we have a member that distributes and built-in braais and loose standing braais, so you would be able to get that. And there's another lady that started a chain of butcheries, and so you'll get your biltong and boerewors. You won't have to go without that. Another thing that totally amazed me was the postal service. I think the first time someone said to me, I'll drop it in the post for you, my heart just missed a beat. And it was there the next day, and that's the postal service. So if someone says to you, I'll put it in the post, don't be worried, you'll get it the next day. So in closing, what I probably want to say is that we might not be the solution for everyone, not trying to be that at all, but we're very happy to meet you where you're at in the process. Thank you.
And thank you, Corinne. That was a really great oversight and insight into what it's like to move to Ireland, and yeah, to really commend Corinne and her services. I know you've heard from my colleague Katie Daffy earlier, and Corinne was the recruiter who brought Katie Daffy to Engineers Ireland. So she's top class at what she does, and I really appreciate Corinne speaking here, and looking forward to the questions and answers at the end to delve into some of those some more. Okay, hopefully my screen share is working okay. I'm delighted now to introduce someone else. This is Yanny Berger, who's qualified from South Africa in the past, and he has been able to successfully apply for a professional title since coming to Ireland, and came to Ireland in December 2020, so during quite a turbulent time. Yanny, you have the floor, and I'm going to hand over to you. And again, thank you so much for presenting this evening.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, good evening to everyone. I actually got my Table Mountain Cape Town t-shirt on to make you South Africans feel welcome. I decided about 18 months ago that I'm going to make the move. I'm married with two daughters. We lived in Windhoek. I'm a South African and a Namibian, so I actually relocated from Windhoek and not from South Africa. But I studied in South Africa. I first did a national diploma in Bloemfontein some 25 years ago, and then I did my BTech degree. Since then, I was mostly working in Namibia and in Windhoek, And when we decided to make the big move, it was really, for me, it was a big thing. My wife was very keen on it. It had to grow on me, but eventually one day I felt I was ready, and we made the decision. There can be very different circumstances for everyone thinking of doing something like this. You can think of doing it for a while, for an experience, which is great. In my case, I made it a more permanent decision. It's not to say it can't change, but I sold out my properties and decided we're gonna move lock, stock, and barrel. We literally sold half our stuff, and the rest we packed in containers, and we brought over the containers. So it is definitely a big change. It's a lifestyle change. I'm only here for 4 months. Arrived in the middle of the winter, and about 3 days after I arrived, the country went into lockdown, level 5, and we're still in lockdown since then. So the COVID thing was big. It was serious. I'm working now for 3 months with my new employer, Ben Louis, here in Cork. I'm living in Cork in the south, and I haven't met my colleagues in person yet. We're all online every day, and we do all our work remotely, which was also a big learning curve for me. I'm sure the company efficiency is down. You can't be 100% efficient working remotely, working online. But it's only about 15% or so, and everyone is getting used to it now. We're using the tools we can, and we're making the best of it. We're all in the same situation, so yeah, we're making the best of it. Like I said, I got a BTech degree, and I was registered in Namibia, or I am still registered in Namibia with the Engineering Council. I was never registered with EXA. Namibia doesn't have a mutual recognition agreement, so when I came to Ireland and I wanted to register, I had to start the process from a new application. But I took it on. I went onto the website, and like the speakers before me told you, there's plenty of information and guidance on the website. The entire process is online now. Yeah, you just need to do your reporting. First of all, your qualification, obviously, you need to get that verified to see for which title you can apply, and then you go ahead, you do your report. There are certain, when you're ready to submit, there are certain due dates for submission of reports. Make sure you make your due date then. And then after that, you'll be invited for an interview. These days, obviously, also all remotely. And yeah, within a month after your interview, you will probably know what the outcome is. If you're unsuccessful, they will give you some guidance. I was lucky to be successful first time. I've just registered as an associate engineer, which is the equal of engineering technologist in South Africa, in Namibia, and in the UK we call it incorporate engineers. On the engineering side, like I said, I'm lucky to work with a big company here in Ireland, Ben Louis, who is also an international company working in the UK and in the Middle East. The guys were really helpful to make me fit in, even though it is a remote system. If you're lucky, your employer might be able to apply for a visa on your behalf. You might even get a relocation allowance if you relocate with a family. There's lots of paperwork involved. There's no way around it. If you decide you're going to do it, then you just have to start and do it. What's nice about the South African system and about your documentations, your qualifications, your EXA registration, as well as your driver's license, it's all been recognized here. Whereby my Namibian driver's license, for instance, is not recognized, so I have to go through a system of redoing my driving test, which is also crazy, but yeah, I'm busy with that. Just on the sideline, maybe on a personal note, it's different, and I'm only experiencing the start of it now. COVID makes it really difficult to really experience the Irish lifestyle. We've got some shops open, markets, for instance, on weekends, that sort of thing. It's only just starting. Pubs are still closed, so nothing of that, nothing of experiencing the Irish lifestyle. we're lucky enough to be out of town. Ireland is a beautiful place. I've seen a few places, been down the coast in the south. It's really an amazing experience already for me. So I think whether you do it for personal reasons or as an engineer to further your experience or your career, if you've registered with Engineers Island, like you've seen on the map in the beginning there, all the countries with the Washington Accord, you will then be able to register in those countries or work in those countries with your Irish registration, which is a great thing. It just helps you to open doors for you. I'm not sorry for one day about my decision. I still got all my family back home. I don't have any family here. My wife's family is in the UK, so they're closer, but even that is not close enough for us to see them yet. Yeah, I think on the question side, there will be plenty of questions coming from you guys. I can just tell you, if you make the decision, it's a wonderful experience. Lifestyle is great. It's a safe place here. My kids are out. They're taking public transport all the time. Like Corin said before, the systems are working. The postal system is working. Yeah, the internet is working. It's a bit different from what I'm used to in some circumstances down in Namibia or even in South Africa. I know South Africa quite well, and yeah, sometimes we feel a bit negative. There's lots to be positive about in South Africa as well. Same in Namibia. If you don't make the move, if you just done it because you're curious, there's nothing wrong with being down south there and work there. On the engineering side, the idea that I get here is that the guys really appreciate the South African engineers. They're hardworking. They've got good qualifications. So on that side, I've just gone through my 3 months mid probation review. That was successful. So we can do it. You can do it if you want to work in a different country. You want to broaden your horizons. You can definitely do it. Decide if you want to do it, and then you go for it. You take one step, and then you go from there. I don't think I will ever be sorry or disappointed in what I've done, because only in this short time, 3 months working and 4 months living here, it's already an incredible experience for me. On that note, yeah, I think there might be some questions, but that's just my short experience this far. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Yanny. That was an incredible first-hand account of moving to Ireland during the coronavirus and kind of really making a successful start here. I'm going to end the recording now. So thank you for everyone who tuned in, and we're going to move to the question and answers part of the proceedings.